Good day. My story starts before COVID. How it started, I have a social media account. This person found me on one of the platforms and the most common one, the blue and white one. And then we started talking there. I don't even remember what is it that interested me, but what something caught my attention. Oh, what caught my attention is that he said he noticed where I work, that somehow we're like sort of like in the same industry, but he was working for a different company. So I was like, oh yeah, where are you working? When he explains, and then he tells me what he does. He works shifts and all of that, and yeah. And then he said to me that his late mother of his children passed away. So he has two kids, a boy and a girl. So I fell for that and felt sorry for him. I wanted that, okay, you're a widow somewhere, somehow, sharp. And then we took our chats from there to the Green app, and then we were talking, and then it became a constant thing that we were talking. And then now, because he was staying in another city, which is about 3.5 hours away, we were just communicating over the phone. And then came a time, I think it was just maybe a month in, when he said to me he would like to ask for me to meet, and I said it's fine. And then for us to meet, he promised to come and drive towards where I am. We made an arrangement, and then he said, you know what, in the morning he had to go to a funeral, and then after the funeral he will come. I said it's fine. And then come time, he said around about 2 3, I get a call from him, but he's in a frantic state, saying that he has just been arrested. He can't talk much, but he will call me. I went frantic. What about? Why are you arrested? What happened? You went to a funeral. Those things are going through my mind. And then he called. Oh no, he sent the brother. Now he gave my number to his brother. The brother called me and to explain that, okay, this is what has happened. This person had alcohol in the car, and he said he also drank, and they tested him, and they've taken him for DUI. Okay, DUI, in my mind at the time, I was very oblivious to such things. That does a DUI mean you are not going to be able to get out? I know there's bail and all of those things, but I thought like, oh, he's gonna be in there. So that happened on a Saturday. Monday, he was like communicating with me that he didn't get bail. Okay. Um, if we called, I don't remember how he was managing to get in contact with me. He didn't get bail. He said that there were issues. They picked up things from his past. I'm like, okay. Then he said they're taking him to whichever prison, pending those cases. Now it's no longer just this DUI. He said those things were still in the process. Like, he gave me some story, man, and I believed it. Then now he's in there, and we communicate almost on we used to communicate a lot, to the point that I had to report myself for every movement. Hey, I'm awake now. Hey, now I'm going to work. Hey, I'm going to lunch. Hey, I'm coming back from lunch. Like, it was that kind of reporting. At the time, I was gullible. I thought this is communication, but it was not communication. It was control. He wanted to know my every movement, and he didn't like me being social, because yes, I'm a homebody, but those occasions when they happen that I need to go somewhere, it's a problem. It's like I have to ask permission from him. I have to give assurance to him that I'm just going there. And he will be like, yo, what about other men? I'm like, man, why must you stress about other men? I'm just going there to whatever, and I'll be back. So now that thing also had an effect on me, that now I'm no longer as outgoing as I used to be. When I get invited to things, I'm avoiding to go to those things, because I'm avoiding to be explaining. It's like I'm doing an application to go out. So I was now avoiding to go out so that I can be on my phone. It's like now I'm married to this phone because of him. And I remember there was an instance where he had his car. He wanted the car to be fetched. I don't know from where the car was, but he needed the car to be fetched, and he only trusted me to go fetch it. He had already introduced me that there are his two sisters that he has. These two sisters, one is around where I stay, and the other one is staying in another province, which is his home province. And then those sisters, now I know about them. They also communicate with me. And one Saturday, I did meet the sisters. They came to visit me, and I hosted them. They thought they were good people. They probably are, just that they didn't have a way to tell me the truth. But what is the true nature of their brother? Any case, then the issue of the car is that he has a car that needed to be transported to his sister, but he trusted me to fetch the car. Like there was something in me that was not agreeing about this car thing, but he was insisting, and yeah. And the other thing that was a red flag was that that person was bringing the car was not allowed to have my number. He was the middleman, communicating with that person and also communicating with me so that we can meet, so I can get the car and I can take the car to his sister. I don't know what happened that the car could not be taken to the sister that same day. I had to wait the following day because I just woke up with this conviction in me saying this car needs to go. There was something in my spirit saying this car I must relinquish it. It must go back to wherever because there's something wrong. There's just my spirit was heavy, and I did exactly that. That following day, I made sure this car is gone out of my hands, and it was done. I was like, fine. And then came a time like he was going to court. He was telling me he was preparing for court. He was meeting with the lawyer, and all of that. And then he now tricked me into believing that there's a sangoma that can help him with his cases and whatever, and there's money required for that can make the evidence disappear and all those things. So he convinced me to give money, and I had money at the time. I think I departed with 4,000 and I had to send that money into the brother's account. That brother I never met. I know his name, but I never physically met him. I only know him over the phone, unlike the sisters that I met at least. So having the sisters, meeting them, it gave sense of comfort. So now the 4,000 that I had to depart with, because now we were often going to make things to disappear before he's caught. And that was done, and unfortunately the thing didn't work, of which it was a far-fetched thing. He was still in there. So after that, he was still asking to see me. So I then took the cuts to leave my province and drive that 6 hours to go and see him. But I went with someone so that I feel safe, although that person was not going to come in with me. But I just for the drive, for me to feel safe, I asked someone to accompany me. I got there, and it was a CMAX prison, like very heavy security, and went through that whole vetting as a guest before I go to see him. But at least when I saw him, it was across a bench. It was just, we were told we were not allowed to touch and whatever, but we could sit across each other. He was not behind a glass or whatever, but we could talk. And he was handcuffed on the legs at least. And is in the arms too, ne? I think so. I'm not, or I think they let go his arms, I'm not sure. But the feet, I remember he had handcuffs there. So, I mean, I don't know, leg cuffs, they call it. So, and then we talked and everything, lovey dovey. Hey, I'm in love, we're in love. He's talking about plans when I get out of here. This is what I'm going to do. What are my businesses? Hey, he was giving me stories. And then fine, that day ended. And then for me, like I started to have suspicions. I just don't remember what is it that I said. Oh, the people that were in my life were concerned about me being withdrawn. And the way I was now behaving, because I always had to be on call for this guy. I don't move around. I don't do the things that I used to enjoy. So my sibling now was intervening, saying, no, this is not normal. And if you're saying your person is in prison and has these issues, perhaps let's try and help him and find out what is the problem. And then I managed to get information of his in my own way to trick him, and I got it, and I gave it to that person who could trace about why he's in there. When they traced why he was in there, that's when I discovered, Guti, there's a lot going on there. This person has been in prison longer than the time. He wasn't in prison from the time that he told me that he got locked up for the. He's been in prison. And two, the charges he's in there. That is why he was in a CMAX prison. He has done horrible things, that even the person who searched the information for me said, I can't even tell you. You will have too much regret. I don't want to scare you. That's what the person advised. But she was like, you know what, baby girl, please, you are young. There are plenty other fish in the sea, but this one you have to let go. Hey, then as I knew this information, it sat with me, and then I decided to cut ties with him. And in me cutting ties with him, I told him, hey, I found out things like about you, ganji, ganji, ganji. Like for even that, you've been there. It's not about you getting arrested when we were supposed to meet. You've been there. I gave him receipts. I gave him information. He was so pissed off. He was threatening my life. He was telling me he will come for me. Hey, I'm not going to leave him and all of those things. So I had to now block him. I had to block him everywhere, block his family, his sisters and everything, block everyone, for my safety. And he would come back with different numbers. He would come back with different social media accounts with still the same thing of the threats and everything. And eventually, because I think he also got tired because I kept on blocking, I was not responding. As soon as I realized it's him over the phone, I blocked the number. As soon as I realized that social media account, the fake account, that it's him, I block him. So I continued blocking without talking to him. Then came to a point that he eventually stopped. And I've chosen to share the story because as as smart as I am, I realize that when it comes to things of love, we are not so smart. Love and being smart don't work together because these things can happen to anyone. It happened to me. I lost certain things, and but I learned a lot of things because I became like hyper alert to the point that like when I start dating someone and things are getting serious, I will do a background check. Like that for me is standard. I know for some people say, you are going against someone's privacy and whatever. You should just trust what the person tells you. For me, I don't trust on face value. If you say you are this person, I must find out you are that person because I've faced something like this. So I learned a lot. But that was a horrible experience. Even talking about it, I think of the things he used to say to me.
Hayi bandla, hayi bandla, yathi ungaze uhlangane nemuntu athi usatshele run, run for your life my sister, because batokuskema or batokuskema bakushiye unganalutho. What a sad and heartbreaking story. Do comment your thoughts down on the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. I'm signing out. Goodbye.